It is probably the most hectic and most toxic time of the college football season, especially when you're an Ohio State fan. And we're going to talk about it here today, including a lot more talk, also including what Ohio State needs, what they lost, what to think about those losses, and more. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Ohio State at the Voice of College Football. I'm your host, Garrison, as always, on a Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Also, if you haven't, check out our website at www.bocfb.com. You can check out all the awesome writers that we have that keep you up to date with what's going on in the landscape of college football and also our weekly schedule throughout the week. Well, first, everybody, thank you for being here. And I first want to start off the show with just a quick little monologue. And what we're going to call this here, everybody, is Portal Professors. Last year, I think, was the first time for Ohio State fans. It goes across the whole landscape of college football. Other fan bases deal with this, but it's nowhere near as bad as what Ohio State fans do. And as much as I love my fan base, I love the program I cheer for. I'm blessed to be an Ohio State Buckeye. You know, as Jim Tressel famously said, one day you're going to look back and say to yourself, thank God I got a chance to be an Ohio State Buckeye because there's nothing like it. But this is time of the year that really annoys me, especially right after we didn't end the season the way we really wanted to, of course. Would much rather end the season on a high note, winning a national championship. But when that doesn't happen, and then the portal window opens, and now we all know that it has changed. Only one portal window now that opens January 2nd, and now it's the 5th of January, so we're 3 days in. But it's gone wild, and the fan base has gone abrupt, and it annoys me because everyone thinks they know what their program needs. And to an extent, yeah, I think we all have a good idea of what Ohio State needs, just based off what we saw this season, based off what we've lost this year. And just when you see certain guys in the portal that Ohio State could definitely use and benefit from or benefit in having, you want Ohio State to go after those players. You want Ohio State to do whatever they can to get the top talent and get the best players inside of the program and be on this team for the next season so that we can go for another Big Ten run and a championship run. But at the same time, you got to be realistic about things and understand how things happen. The transfer portal window is not to create a whole new team. It is not to fill every single position up. And it damn sure isn't to replace your whole program. The portal window is there because you need to fill holes or you need to create some depth on your team. All programs are not built the same. Let me repeat that again for the people in the back. All programs are not built the same. Everyone is looking at what Indiana is doing right now, and man, they're doing a damn good job in the portal. You can't say anything else about it. You can't. They went and got Nick Marsh. They went and got Hoover out of TCU. They got a couple other guys on the defensive line, offensive lineman, I believe, also. They're doing a great job in the portal. Programs such as Georgia, Oregon, and our beloved Ohio State Buckeyes do not have to do that. Not the extent that they have to. When you recruit the way that upper echelon program does, a tenured upper echelon program does, you shouldn't have to go into the portal and do what an Indiana does. And it's not taking anything away from Indiana. They do what they have to do because they don't have the recruiting that those programs do. They do that because they don't have the talent depth that these other programs do. You succeed in college football through high school recruiting. Now, the transfer portal is, in fact, another type of recruiting, but it's not the same. Nowhere near the same. High school recruiting is the lifeblood and the backbone of this sport that we love. If you are not able to do so, you can't go year after year after year after year making the playoffs and making championship runs and having high-end talent on your team that you can send guys off to the NFL with. I had a conversation yesterday with a guy, and he's like, "Well, man, Ohio State, man, you guys win a championship off of a bunch of portal players." Not true. Quarterback, yeah, transfer player. Left tackle, he was out for basically the whole season. Yeah, we had Quinshawn. We also had another running back in Travion Henderson that was built up to the program. On defense, that D line was not transfer portal. At linebacker, those aren't transfer portal guys. You had Caleb Downs, Igbinosun, 3 years ago came in from Ole Miss, but everybody else, no. Talking about 5-6 guys out of 22 starters. And we had our center being Laughlin. That's not that's not a consistent thing that you do. If Indiana didn't have to have the 33rd ranked class or like the 40th or the 50th, if they could consistently be like in the top 5, top 10 of recruiting, hell, even the top 15, they wouldn't go into the transfer portal as much as they have to or need to right now. They would build from within. With that being said, now in terms of building within, I expect Ohio State to develop these players. What is the point of paying these guys the top dollar, the money, the amount of money you pay them, if you can't develop these players? That is the point. I expect them to do that. That is their job. If Ohio State had to consistently go into the transfer portal and get 10, 15 players every year, that would be a problem. A huge problem. And the funny part is, all these people that are these portal professors that are complaining right now about Ohio State in the portal, they will go on the other side of it if Ohio State had to do that and say that we aren't developing enough. That's a fact. It just makes no sense to me. And I'm going to give you an example right here. I'm going to pull this up for you guys, because this is the type of stuff I'm talking about, where people aren't being consistent. They're not being truthful. They're not being real. Now, shout out to Buckeye Nation for doing this, because I'm so happy that I remembered that he said this about this player, because you got to call this crap out. And from here on out, I have bookmarks. I have screenshots. I'm calling every single Ohio State fan out, because when the time comes and they got to backtrack on what they said or they say something different, I'm going to be the one here to call it out. If no one else will do it, hey, hell or high water, I will. Look at this. So he posted this right here about the Gardner Webb edge, Antonio Berry. He went and committed to where was it? It was let me see. Oh yeah, I muted because I just couldn't stay anymore. He committed to Kentucky, and he says, "Oh, we are fucked, losing bidding wars to Kentucky." Scroll down a little bit. This was him 2 days ago. They better get Coleman, talk about Chaz Coleman, because otherwise I am out on Bjork and Dave being cheap asses when it comes to NIL. That was him 2 days ago, before posting that. 2 days. Makes no sense. Makes no sense. And annoys me to no end. It really does. Because I refuse to sit here and act like that we're Ohio, that we're Akron, Toledo. Dude, we're Ohio State. The Ohio State University Buckeyes. And it just amazes me how people can go out there and say one thing about someone in a transfer portal, and then when Ohio State doesn't get that player, and somewhere where I think we had a need for it. We have a need for getting a defensive end. Whether it be one or two of them, and we're going to talk about that later. But then don't backtrack and then say, "Oh man, we're fucked." No, you didn't want that kid in the first place, all because he played D2 football. Guess what? While Ohio State's sitting in Cancun right now after losing to Miami, Ole Miss is sitting there with a D2 quarterback trying to get to the national championship. You don't know what these kids are capable of. You don't know what they look like in a new system. You don't know how they will perform at Ohio State. There's talent everywhere. You just got to find it. You got to find the right ones. That's what the transfer portal is used for, or it should be used for Ohio State at least. Just amazes me. It really amazes me. But yeah, we're gonna move on here. Again, everybody, thank you for being here. Shout out to everyone that is watching right now. If you're in the chat, appreciate you being here. If you are just now tuning in, please be sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you like the content that we bring to you. Also, if you would like to become a member and press that join button, you're gonna see our 3 tiers: the Blocko Club, JT wasn't short, and of course, we don't give a damn, and you know the rest. Want to bring this up here right here from Aaron. Aaron says it's show versus Miami in terms of bad evals, and we're going to talk about that. We're gonna get to that, and then I'm going to read this from you also, Aaron. I think the frustration comes when the coaching staff wants the player, but they don't want to pay them. Laugh my ass off. Maybe so. But at the same, listen, I mean, we're hearing that from the beat writers, and I mean, I think we have good beat writers. Depending on where you like to look, could they be right? Yeah, I mean, you say we don't play players. We played Will Howard. We paid Caleb Downs. We paid. I mean, we didn't really pay Max because we told him we were going to roll the red carpet out for him, and he still came to Ohio State. We paid Quinshawn Judkins. So I guess it all depends on what you're thinking. I mean, for every player that Ohio State doesn't get, and so how people say we don't pay for, I can point out players that we do pay for. Again, I think sometimes our fan base can be unrealistic and just honestly we just bloviate about things. Yeah, it is what it is. Real quick, I also do want to point this out. Ohio State hired a new executive associate AD and Chris Parker. I'm going to read this here about him. This comes from the Ohio State website. It says the Ohio State University Department of Athletics has named Chris Park as its new executive associate athletics director for external affairs and chief communications officer. In this critical leadership role, Park will oversee the department's external communication strategies, marketing, brand engagement, media relations, and strategic storytelling efforts that elevate Ohio State's mission and impact across regional, national, and global audiences. This comes from Kerry Hoyt. We are thrilled to welcome Chris and his family to the Ohio State University. His extensive experience in external affairs, communications, and brand development across top collegiate athletic programs uniquely positions him to lead our communication strategy with excellence and innovation. Park joins Ohio State from Baylor University, where he has served as Executive Senior Associate Athletics Director for External Administration and Business Development, and was a key member of the department's executive cabinet. At Baylor, Park led broad external-facing units, including marketing, brand engagement, communications, ticketing, fan experience, which would be pretty cool, I guess, and multimedia rights partnerships, driving strategic alignment between athletic initiatives and community engagement. Prior to Baylor, Park worked at Texas A&M University as Deputy Athletics Director for External Relations and Business Development. During his tenure, he oversaw marketing, game management, special events, trademark and licensing, and media production teams. Among his notable accomplishments at Texas A&M, Park helped orchestrate marquee events, new revenue opportunities, good, and strengthen fan engagement while contributing to record attendance and revenue initiatives. So this is good for Ohio State, especially we talk about revenue, talk about branding, talk about fan engagement. I think we definitely need that. Of course, the high school kids definitely do look at that. Recruits look at that, and they want to see what the program is doing outside of the field. Of course, this new NIL era. So I think having him be a part of the program is going to do big things for us. Of course, he worked with Ross Bjork, so of course he's going to bring some of his guys over. That I think they can do a great job at Ohio State. So shout out to him. Now, something else I want to talk about before we get to the portal news. I want to ask you guys this, and I'm going to bring this up and shout out to my guy, AZ Buckeye, friend of the show. He pointed this out, and this has been this has been somewhat of a topic on X, and I think that this is big because for Ryan Day going into this new season without having an offensive coordinator, that is the probably it's outside of the transfer portal. I think this is even more so the biggest thing that Ohio State has to face right now in terms of the future of the program and where this program is going under Ryan Day. So I'm going to share this with you all. This is what AZ Buckeye says. AZ Buckeye, actually, that's how you say it. But he says, look, I know some of you might hate this take, but I really think the OC needs to come from within. And I don't know how I feel about anyone on staff currently taking that role. Emphasis on anyone. We can't keep bringing in one-year rentals for major coaching roles. That stuff absolutely hurts recruiting. I agree. Stability matters. Facts. Chip was one and done. Is Patricia about to be one and done too? Maybe so. I don't think he will, but hey, listen, man, you never know. He had a great year. We need someone who's going to be here for several years, not a pit stop. If it's a big-time name who's willing to commit to a true multi-year deal, I'm all for it. Otherwise, build it in-house and let it grow. And I honestly, I would say the same thing when it comes to recruiting in terms of the transport, the conversation we just had. So I did put in the chat right there, there's a poll right there for you guys if you want to vote. Do you think Ohio State should hire from within or do an outside hire? Me personally, I lean towards an outside hire right now. I mean, it worked with Chip Kelly this year defensively. It worked with Matt Patricia. On the other side of that, though, to what AZ Buckeye is talking about, I can understand the thought process of hiring from within. Now, what does that look like? Tyler Bowen has had OC experience. Now, he wasn't all that successful in the pass game. Run game wise, he was able to build over at VT, Virginia Tech, and over at Penn State, being the run game coordinator there. But outside of that, I'm not really sure if that's the way to go. And truth be told, I don't know if Ryan Day fully trusts him to just take over the offense and run with it. Me personally, I think Ryan Day he has his hands in offensive play calling no matter what, in terms of the strategy and the game plan throughout the week and what happens on game day. But I think that his hand he would dip his hand in the cookie jar more times than not if Tyler Bowen was there. And then you ask the question, I mean, what, Keenan Bailey? Is that the way you go? I would strongly be opposed to that. I couldn't imagine doing that. And I mean, Aaron, then why did Brian Hartline leave? I think Brian Hartline left, man, because you can't turn down a head coaching job, especially for him. You're a one-time coordinator. Now, honestly, should Ryan Day have made him the OC? Maybe not. But I think at that time, his hand was somewhat forced. You had to go do that because he's been a wide receiver coach for a long time, man. What, 7 years? 7-8 years? I mean, last year he was the pass game coordinator, but I think at some point you had to do that. You had to make him the OC, and they did it. And I mean, a lot of us, let's be honest, we have a lot of mixed feelings on that. But right now, I think you have to go with an outside hire, and I can care less right now. I won't say I can care less. It is tough to understand that it could be a one and done deal, but if there's a guy like Brian Daboll out there doesn't have a job, why not? Why not? He's a great play caller in college. Did great at Alabama. I would not be mad at all if Daboll came to Ohio State for a season and we could see what he could do with Julian Sand in that offense. I really, especially with what's coming back with the offense, you're talking about the old line coming back. You're talking about the receiving unit. You're talking about your quarterback. You're talking about stable of young running backs, including Bo Jackson, who's going to be there, who's going to coming to next season. He's going to be one of the best running backs coming to college football in the year of 2026, for the season of 2026. So yeah, I don't mind it. I don't think it's a bad idea at all. But yeah, go ahead and vote in there, everybody. Do you think Ohio State should do inside hire or outside hire? But before we get to all these portal talks, quick message here from the voice of college football, and a remind everybody, if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER, and a reminder that you must be 21 or older to do so.
College football is even more exciting when you've got some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the voice of college football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread, and I've got a 40-plus year track record. 11-0 in the college football playoff for me last year against the money line, 8-3 against the spread. And I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill of Wager Talk is our ace in the hole, show stopper. 7 years with the voice of college football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick. 28-12 against the spread the last 3 years. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Corey Bratta, Matt Zemek, and Steve Dace. Check out those numbers. Become a YouTube or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and then select a betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2025 a winner now.
All right, everybody. Let's get some portal news here. And first off, we're going to start with the guys that Ohio State has lost. I think I probably have a different view on this than most people do. And real quick, Ryan. Yeah, Aaron, you said I'm fine with Brian Daboll or Joe Moorhead at OC. I would be too. I would be completely fine with that. I'd probably scream from the mountain, like cry from the mountaintops of joy if that were to happen. But yeah, let's get to some of this portal news real quick, because we all see this. I won't say stable, but the players that have left Ohio State so far. And I know some people are a little bit. There are some shockers, some players that aren't so much, such as like a Tegra. But I'm gonna give you guys my views on this, and let me know in the chat. Excuse me, are you worried about the losses that Ohio State has so far in the portal? Now, players of note that Ohio State have lost: Mylan Graham, West, Jelani Thurman, James Peoples, Scott, Tegra, C.J. Hicks, Devontae Armstrong, and Dominic Kirks. I'm going to go down this list one by one, or just probably by position by position. Mylan Graham leaving. Now, about a month ago, I said on here that I thought Mylan Graham was going to go to the portal. And there was a few reasons for that. And there's going to be a reoccurring theme here when we talk about these players. Mylan Graham, before the season, I thought would be an impact player for Ohio State. Shout out to my guy, Ron. We had a funny argument about it on here, and I thought that he could really play outside. He could play inside. I thought that he would, again, make his name known. I thought at some point through this season, he would be a household name for Ohio State Buckeyes and possibly for people across the country coming into the next season. But that is not the way it turned out. Mylan Graham hit the portal. And truth be told, listen, man, Mylan Graham throughout this season had his chances. He had his chances. Couldn't block. Dropped the ball multiple times throughout the season when he got the chance to play. And the truth, and man, when you play college football, and it's not even just college football. Like from high school to college to the NFL, when you get your time to shine, boy, you better not screw it up. And what you can't do for Ohio State is you can't go out there and you can't block or not block. You can't go out there and when the ball is thrown to you, you can't drop the ball. You can't do that. And what ends up happening when you do that, and you are a young player, and there are guys behind you with the names of the likes of Quincy Porter, you will get passed up. Because what Quincy didn't do when he got on the field, he didn't drop the ball. He made some decent plays out there. And it's not to say that Milan didn't have some plays too where he caught the ball, but man, Quincy wasn't doing what you were doing. Quincy came out there and blocked. Quincy came out there and caught the ball. And so when you go out there and you get passed up, and then listen, outside of senior day, hey, Adolph, the senior, he was still getting on the field before you at that point. Not in the beginning of the season, you saw the field before he did. Not by the end of the season. Not by even mid-season. And then everybody was asking questions about that game when remember that game with Carnell Tate and Jeremiah didn't play, and everybody's asking, where's Milan Graham? And truth be told, and for all these guys that hit the portal, I hope nothing but the best for them. I don't pray on, whether it be from my program or someone else's program. I don't pray on these young guys' downfall. That's sickening for anybody to do that. But at the end of the day, we got to be honest about this. He didn't play to a lot of people's expectations, and clearly he didn't play to the coach's expectations, and that's why he didn't see the field as much as he thought he would have coming into this season. West, that was probably the most shocking one. I thought that, and we're going to talk about Scott too, but then we're going to have an honest conversation about it. I thought that when he was able to touch the field, whether it be in garbage time or not, I thought he played well. He would get pass deflections, pass breakups, play tight coverage, really good athlete, but he didn't see the field. For all the struggles that Lorenzo Styles had, he still didn't see the field. When Lorenzo Styles came off the field, they moved Caleb Downs to that nickel, or they moved Jermaine in that spot. They didn't use you outside either. And then you can talk about Aaron Scott, where I thought Aaron Scott, that was surprising to me more so than West, because I thought going into next year, Scott would have a chance to start on this team. I truly believe that. I think that kid has talent. But even before he announced that he was going to the transfer portal some weeks ago, I thought that Ohio State still need to go in the portal and get one or two corners because it's still an unknown. And at the end of the day, just like Milan Graham, you got passed up by a true freshman. You got passed up. And it's not like some people we all know this because it's true. Sometimes there's practice warriors, guys that do really well in practice, but then they get in the game, they don't do well. You can't say that about Quincy. You can't say that about Devin Sanchez. Devin Sanchez, by the way, in that playoff game against Miami, played his best game of the season. His best game of the season. And throughout the year, when he got on the field, he could make some plays. He had a little struggle with tackling. And there's plays that he get beat. In that game, though, he wasn't getting beat and he was tackling. When we really needed him, he performed. Aaron Scott wasn't on that field. Not like he was. James Peoples, another guy that I thought going into this year, I thought he was going to average somewhere around 6 yards a carry. I had high praise and high thoughts for him going into this year. What happened to him? You got passed up by 2 freshmen. You got buried in the depth chart. RB4, to be honest with you. And going into this season, or coming into this next season, 2026, it's very clear Bo Jackson is RB1 and West is probably going to be RB2. Ohio State might go into the portal to try to find another running back. We'll see what they do about that, but I don't think Ohio State needs to go into the portal to get a running back. There's a stable of young guys, all freshmen, that we can play. Guys that you should be developing. You You shouldn't have to go into the portal for a running back when you had that many freshmen in the RB room. Tegra? Okay. What's up, Jam? Shout out to Jam. See how Garrison late, but here, Jam, I'm always happy that you're here. You know that. But again, the common theme, you guys are getting passed up by freshmen that are more talented than you. Guys that when they get on the field, they're making plays. They're showing their worth. It's not to sit here and say that you don't have any worth. That's not what I'm saying. But those guys are playing better than you. They're better than you. Flat out, they're better than you. And they're true freshmen making impact plays like that. And the truth of the matter is, if you're in year 2 at Ohio State, at an Oregon, at a Georgia, at an LSU, so on and so on, and you're in year 2 and you're not touching, especially if you're a highly rated recruit coming out of high school, and I've always said by year 3, those rankings don't matter. Those stars don't matter. And you're not making impact plays and you're not seeing the field like you probably should be, you're expendable. Because other guys will come in here and make those plays for you. Like a Devin Sanchez, like a Lamar Bo Jackson. Devontae Armstrong, okay. I still think Ohio State, even with him being in the room, had to go into the portal. On top of that, he's a guard. It's very clear that he got passed up by Padilla and Gabe Van Sickle. Luke Montgomery, right now, Ohio State hasn't had anybody declare for the draft who is not a senior. So, you're not playing. You're not playing. And then for Kirks, sophomore, we're going to get back to the same theme. You know what Kirks did, that Mylan Graham did, that West did, that Peoples did, that Scott did. Oh, yeah, CJ Hicks, you too. You got passed up by a freshman, Zion Grady, came in week 1 against Texas making plays. Week 1, on the last drive of the game against Texas, when Texas was trying to go tie or win the game, you know what they were doing? They were on the field, him and Devin Sanchez, 2 freshmen, not you. This is big-time college football. Hey, facts don't care about feelings. That's what happened. Again, like, it sucks because a lot of these players, man, we had high hopes for. I had high hopes for. I know, especially the coaching staff. The coaching staff has more high hopes for these players than we do. They know more about these players than we do. CJ Hicks, hey, coming out of high school, you are a bigger and better athlete than everybody else, man. It's been 4 years. Been 4 years. You took a red shirt in your senior year. Let's call it what it is. Bust. And I hope he goes down to he's going down to USF with Brian Hartline. I hope he has a great senior season there. But at Ohio State, you didn't click. It didn't work. And what I'm not about to do is sit here and blame Larry Johnson for what you couldn't do. And you know what? Maybe you went to edge rusher too late. Maybe you did. That could be very true. But I'm watching the rest of these guys at linebacker flourish under James Laurinaitis. Why didn't you? Riley Pettyjohn is flourishing, true freshman. Arvell Reese flourished. Peyton Pierce, for some odd reason, people want to hate on him. He flourished. Sonny Styles moved down from linebacker. From safety. He flourished. Why couldn't you? Hell, Arvell Reese got to play edge this season at times. He flourished. Why couldn't you? I ain't blaming that on Larry Johnson. Development is a two-way street, everybody. It's a two-way street. Jelani Thurman. Buried in the depth chart. Tight end 5. I thought last year it was starting to click a little bit for him. Nope. I thought this season he could be after Max Clare. He could be the guy. Nope. Didn't work out for him. shout out to the exec 11. First 2 years, he says, first 2 years on the coaches, 30 years on the player to be ready. Facts. Just spit a little bit. That's disgusting. I'm not about this. Everybody wants to look at the coaches. I'm not about to sit here and do that. Are you putting the work in? Huh? Are you? I want to know. Right here. Seems like CJ didn't get the reads and concepts. Exactly. And if you can't get it, man, you're not playable. Ryan Day, he always talks about the why. He talks about mostly with the quarterbacks. He talks about the why. If you can't understand the why of why we do things at Ohio State or why the coaches do things, then you aren't playable. You are not. And so, I mean, it is what it is, man. And sometimes it sucks. Because again, I wish the best for these players wherever they go. James Peoples visiting Penn State. I hope he's able to work out there. I hope he does. But I think as fans, what we have to do now is move on, just like the coaching staff is. That's what you do. Now, let's get to some portal needs. What does Ohio State need right now? Let's start from most necessary, the biggest need to least need. We're going to start with kicker and a punter. Ohio State needs one. We don't have them. We all know what this past season's be. 38. He's never seen the field again at Ohio State. Cool. All right. And the thing is, the truth about 38 is that he wasn't a bad kicker, but he wasn't dependable when you really needed him. He wasn't dependable. We saw what happened in this game against Miami. The previous year at home against the Wolverines, we lose by 3 points. He misses 2 field goals. Can't have that. Punter all season was a basically trying to walk around with no legs. Couldn't pin people back. Couldn't play field position as much as we could have with our defense, doing that. I mean, you looked at that Miami game. He has a good punt. He puts him down at the 10-yard line. We have a penalty on, I think it was a legal formation. We only get moved back 5 yards, and then he kicks it to the 30. Huh? How? And then, I mean, we lost Nick McLarty, the Australian guy. And, I mean, I don't know why we didn't play him. I mean, me personally, I can care less if the guy isn't accurate. Can he boot it out the stadium? Cool. Put him at the 20, not the 30. And we struggled with that all year. There's times like in the Texas game and the Miami game when we were pinning within our own 20, our own 30, our own 10, and these other teams start the ball at the 50-yard line or the 40 on their 45 or their 40. We could have used McLarty back there. Truly could have. So yeah, kicker and punter really need that out of the portal. Of course, we all knew there was that guy at Illinois. Didn't get him. I think he goes down to Texas A&M, so that hurts. But so yeah, got to go to Plan B. Got to go find a kicker. Got to go find a punter. Next, I would say a defensive end or end defensive tackle. At D end, I would say you got to get 1 or 2 of them. At D tackle, probably 1 or 2 also. Now, if we're able to get Chaz Coleman, and by the way, Chaz Coleman, he's about to be at Ohio State tomorrow, coming off other visits. And Pete Nakos, he came out and said Ohio State's willing to do what it takes to get him. Again, a bunch of Buckeye fans will talk about, oh, we're being cheap, blase, blase, blah. Clearly, that's not the truth. And I'll tell you what, If you do want to see me be upset about a player we don't get, it would be Chaz Coleman. That's the one guy I'll be upset about because he's an Ohio kid. Went to Penn State as a freshman this season, had a great year as a true freshman, and we need him. We need him. We still don't know what Kenyatta's going to do. I would assume Kenyatta comes back because personally, I think he needs to for his development. I think he could benefit from a senior season. Zion Grady will be here next season. Will be a true sophomore. Expecting big things out of him next year or next season. I think he's going to be a game record for us. I think he's going to be awesome. He showed his worth as a true freshman. But yeah, we need two defensive ends. We need two defensive ends. You also want to hope guys like Epi, see what his development looks like coming into this next football season. So hopefully he's able to make a jump and show, get on the field, get some playing time, and show his worth for the team. So you still got to develop these guys. But I do believe Chaz Coleman is a necessary guy that Ohio State needs. If Ohio State doesn't get him, that's where I'll say Ohio State's being cheap. You open the checkbook for a kid like that. You have to. Next, defensive tackle. Edric Houston comes back. I think I'm starting to lean towards Edric should probably move back outside to defensive end, but I'm not sure yet. Either that or he needs to put on some more weight. I thought he didn't have a bad season, but he didn't have the season that I think that even he thought he was going to have. So we'll see what he looks like going into his junior year. Of course, we know more than likely going to lose Caden McDonald. Going to lose Tyler Malone. Still have Will Smith Jr., so maybe he can make another jump going to his senior year, be a senior-letting guy that can make plays for Ohio State. But, yeah, defensive tackle is definitely a need. Next, I would say cornerback. And for cornerback, Ohio State right now, looking at actually, I'm real quick at defensive tackle. Colorado defensive tackle Brandon Davis Swain, 6'4", 90 pounds. He's a redshirt freshman. Last year as a freshman, he was 253, pulling some big pounds. This year as a redshirt freshman, has 7 tackles, sack and a half, 1 forced fumble. So pretty decent year for him in his second season playing for Colorado. I think he's a big body. He's a guy we could use. You can't listen, man. Big bodies are not expensive. You got to go get those type of guys. Again, we have Edric Houston. If we can get somebody else that has starter capabilities, that'd be great. But yeah, moving on to corner. Right now, Ohio State looking at Maryland, ex-Maryland quarterback Lakai Rowland, 6'2", 196 pounds. This past season has 17 solo tackles and 3 interceptions. Go get him. Go get him. That's a great size for a corner, especially with what we see now in college football with bigger receivers. And I personally like big corners, especially in the Big Ten. You want guys that can go out there and tackle, guys that can go out there and lay a hat. You want those type of guys. Also, Rutgers ex-cornerback Bo Musco, 5'11", 180 pounds this past season. He had a really good year, 29 tackles, 2 forced fumbles, interception, 4 pass deflections. Now, part of that could be because Maryland did give up a lot in the past this season. But again, he has stats. He's a guy that has starts. Go get him. I think that Jermaine's more than likely going to move inside. That cornerback room for Ohio State is very young, and I think we know we have we got a guy in Devin Sanchez. We got a guy. He's on a jag. He's a playmaker, and so we got to get somebody else. I prefer we get 2 corners there, and those guys I think will fit the need that we have. Next, offensive guard and offensive tackle. I think we need one of each, just for some competition. Gabe Sickle, he has some talent. Josh Padilla, he has talent, but you want competition in that room. Again, I want to lean on development. Tyler Bowen, I'm looking at you this season. A lot of people have a lot to say about Tyler Bowen. This is year 1 for him. And truth be told, these are the guys that Justin Fry recruited. Justin Fry wasn't a great recruiter. Great developer, not that good at recruiting. These are and his thing, Tyler Bowen, his thing is recruiting. I think this year's class that he brought in is really good. A bunch of Ohio guys. I'm going to stick to what I said. If you get a bunch of 3-star, huge Ohio kids, I'm okay with that. High 4-star, blue chip 4 or 5-star guys are great to have. But if you give me 300 pounds, 6'4", 6'5" Ohio kids, I'll take that all day, and I'll take that to the bank. Next, the last one, wide receiver. Now, Jeremiah Smith comes back. We have Quincy Porter. Brandon Ennis is back there. And to be honest with you, I like Brandon Ennis. I do think Brandon Ennis was open a lot this season, but I'm open for competition for him. Of course, we know Chris Henry Jr., true freshman, comes in, but he's a true freshman. Still got to do some development. We don't know what he looks like blocking. I know he can catch the ball. I know he can run routes, but you still got to learn the why. I wouldn't be upset with Ohio State bringing in a wide receiver. Of course, we all know right now Ohio State is eyeing Old Dominion transport wide receiver Trey Brown, 6'2", 180 pounds. This past season had 4 touchdowns, 762 yards on 20.2 per reception. That is outstanding. Big play guy that can get some rack. That's someone I think Ohio State needs. Ohio State hasn't had a rack guy in some time, probably since honestly JSN. So I think that's the type of guy you go get, a guy that can make you more versatile on the offensive end, especially in the pass game. Guy that can catch the ball and do something with it. So yeah, those are the guys right there. Again, portal needs punter, kicker, top of the list, defensive end, defensive tackle, corner, guard, and tackle, and then wide receiver. Again, everybody, thank you all for being here. If you haven't already, please hit that like button. Be sure also to like, share, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Of course, hit that hype button. Helps us get through the algorithm. Does a lot for us. And yeah, is the evaluation correct? We gotta find out. That's huge. We gotta find out. Jam says, what are we getting through as recruits? What are we getting though as recruits? Thank you, Aaron. Had no idea. So Trey Brown just committed to LSU. All right. Well, listen, that doesn't suck again. I thought that was the least of portal needs, but if I was Ohio State, I would still go find a receiver. I really would. Honestly, isn't that so much an outside guy? I think we need a slot receiver. That's what I think we need. We need a slot guy, really athletic slot guy. But yeah, that sucks. And Aaron, DeAndre Moore's still out there. I don't think we're gonna get him. That's why I didn't name him. I thought about it, Aaron. Don't know. So yeah, we would just have to see. I think DeAndre Moore is a really good player. I think he would benefit being Ohio State. I don't think Texas really does much for wide receivers there. But hit the like. There we go. Shout out to James Season. Hit the like and tell Garrison he needs to turn his hat around. No. But yeah, and I honestly, Legend Bay, I think he's one of those guys that can come in and make an impact at Ohio State. Of course, I think he might be playing running back, but I think he can do a lot of things for Ohio State. I don't think he's just a running back. I think he's one of those players that can do anything he wants on offense. He honestly reminds me of Braxton Miller. That's what he reminds me of. But before we finish off the show, everybody, another quick message here from the voice of college football. Get your business, product, service, or personal brand to the next level by partnering with the voice of college football, and let's discuss how you also can reach your target market. Check out the experience of one of our current partners, that being Win Agency, posted here on the screen, and our friends at FanDuel. And just like them, we are here to deliver for you. Contact us at sponsorships at vocfb.com. Again, that is sponsorships at vocfb.com today. All right, so let's finish up here with the show, everybody. Last two topics here. First, I want to talk about two things. Quick thoughts on these two games in the playoffs, and then we're going to talk about something that I actually am very interested in hearing your guys' thoughts in terms of the Big Ten hierarchy going over the next few years, 5-10 years, honestly. But Ole Miss Miami, I think that's a really intriguing game. I mean, shout out to Trinidad James. For all those that don't know, like I born and raised in the state of Michigan, from Grand Rapids, Michigan, where he is from. Man, I mean, I'm proud of that kid. You know, being a hometown kid and what he's doing over at Ole Miss. I wasn't, coming out of Ferris State, never saw this coming from him. I know some people did. Shout out to B Case, if you guys know who he is. He's another guy from the area, but he was a coach, one of his coaches. But man, it's hard to see Ole Miss winning this game because of their defense. I think Miami's going to run through them. As much as I think Trinidad's a playmaker, it's going to be hard just running around against that defensive line from them. Now, he's not a statue back there. He's not going to just sit there in the pocket like Julian Sand was doing. And so I think he's going to make some plays throughout the game. They do, Kevon Lacey, one of the best running backs, a top 3 running back in college football. So their running game is going to be a little bit better than what they saw this previous week against Ohio State. But, I think Miami's definitely going to pull that game out. And then you go to the other side, you got a rematch with Indiana, who, by the way, I mean, what they did to Alabama was nothing short of spectacular and fun to watch, to be quite honest with you. I mean, watching Alabama get their doors blown off was just insane because there was nothing they could do. But Oregon, they're much more healthy than they were that first go about against Indiana. In that game, Dante probably had the worst game that he had around the season or on the season. Also, Jordan Davison did not play in that game either, I believe, or he was hindered in that game. So it's going to be a different game for both teams. And I think Oregon was hurting their O-line too. So it's going to be a different game for both those teams. I think that it's going to be real fun to watch, but I don't know. I almost feel like my heart wants to say Oregon, but I'm going to pick Indiana to win that game because they're playing at a different level right now. They just are. I mean, what they do defensively. I mean, like I said earlier, Indiana, what's so cool about them is that they have talent on that team. They have really good talent on that team. They have some guys that can go first, second round, day 1, day 2, day 3. But they understand the why. Curt Cignetti and his coaching staff does a good job of making sure those guys understand the why of what they do on their team and what their coaches coach them and teach them. And it really shows. And so, yeah, shout out to them and what they've been doing this season, because I think if Indiana can cap off a 16-0 season, and it's not even just the fact that it's Indiana, understand that is the bottom team in P4. Throughout history, not just the Big Ten, throughout history, that is the bottom team of P4. But they could cap off the greatest season in college football history. And no one could take that away from them. No one could. Shout out to my guy Don B, who's in the chat for the 199. He says, "Yo, Garrison, is Matt Patricia leaving?" I don't think so. I think that would be a tough loss, because then, I mean, it's so late. It's so late here. Ohio State would have to scramble to go find one. Not scramble, but we would have to find one with a lot of urgency. We really would have to. But I don't think he is. From the way he talks about being at Ohio State and being around the players and what he gets to do outside of what he did in the NFL, it sounds like he's going to be here for, I would say, at the worst 2 years. So yeah, but I do think Ohio State needs to ante up. I think they need to back the Brinks truck up for him. I think $3.5 million around that range would be a good number for him. I think that's how you keep him. So yeah, but Don B, bro, I hope not. And then I want to ask you guys a question here, and I'm really interested on what you guys think about this. What over the next few years, so let's say 5 years, and I asked this question on X. what do you think that the Big Ten hierarchy looks like over the next 5 to 10 years? And I would say between the teams like Ohio State, Oregon, Indiana, Michigan, Penn State, and USC. Because if you look at what Indiana is doing, I think Curt Cignetti's not going anywhere. This is his last stop, I think, in his coaching career, unless he wanted to do NFL, which I don't think he would. But you look at what he's doing, and I think it's only a matter of time. I think after this season, you're going to see Indiana start to creep up in that top 15 to top 10 range in recruiting. I could be wrong, but I could definitely see them doing so because they have the proof of concept now. USC, it looks like they're starting to pick up in the recruiting trail, but we still got to see it cultivate on the field. Penn State, I'm sorry, I said USC, right? Yeah, USC's doing that. Penn State, they still have talent on their team. Yeah, they lost some guys, but they hired one of the better coaches in college football, a top 15 coach in college football. They got their quarterback now at Rocco. They got guys like James Peebles came in there. They got other players that transferred in. I could see they got a tight end, I believe. I could see the Penn State not falling off that much. They have a tough schedule next season, but I think they might be okay. Maybe get an 8 to 9 win season next year. Oregon, they're not going anywhere. Ohio State isn't going anywhere. Am I missing somebody who I already mentioned? The Wolverines. Look, man, 9 losses over the last 2 years, and look, they got rid of Sharon Moore. Cool, we understand that. They also got Kyle Whittingham, one of the top 10 coaches in college football. New staff in there. I think they only kept 2 guys, their O-line coach and running backs coach, I believe. They've lost some important players too. They lost their best offensive lineman from this season. They lost their best linebacker from this season. Lost some really highly rated young talent from last year's class. So I want to know, what do you guys see over the next few years? How do you think the Big Ten hierarchy looks like? Give me your top 6 teams. So for me, I would go Ohio State 1, then Oregon 2, Indiana 3, USC 4, Michigan 5, and then I'll probably go Penn State 6. And Jam, Penn State did. Michigan State did lose a lot, but I think over the next few years, especially with the coaching staff that they're building, I would like to see what they do with Pat Fitzgerald. I love Pat Fitzgerald. I think he's one of the best coaches in college football still. I think that he stayed at Northwestern entirely too long. And this is the best job you get. They just poured in $400 million into that football program, some for the stadium, some for NIL and things of that nature. So I am interested in seeing what they can do. But yeah, man, the Big Ten's changing. It's changing for the better. I have no problem with competition getting better. I really don't. I think that the more competition you get, it puts more eyes on your conference. It brings recruits and the top talent into your conference. That's why the SEC, outside of most of the talent being in the South, that's why the SEC has been so good. A lot of the top talent, they see guys playing each other, and top talent wants to play the top talent. So the better that the Big Ten gets, and the Big Ten's got better in coaching for some years now. Back when they got that big deal, they were able to pay coaches more. But yeah, I'm really interested to see what that looks like. Again, in the chat, if you're commenting, please let me know. What do you guys think that in the next 5-10 years? Who are the top 5 to 6 teams in the Big Ten, and what does it look like? Again, everybody, thank you again for being here. Again, if you haven't already, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you like the content that myself, Clean Mike, and Mark Rogers bring to you, the voice of college football. Again, and as always, OH, IO.